Welcome to Broken Electronics. I'm Lee, and it's wonderful for you to spend some time here with me today. What we're going to do today is to take a look at that wonderful PowerMac G4 digital audio, which is so lovingly upgraded by the gentleman who sold it to me. We've had several videos about it already. Now we're just going to take a look to see what it is capable of doing. And as a spoiler alert, it's capable of doing a lot. Now, if you want to see it do so, please stay tuned. Well, here we are on the Leopard desktop and the digital audio through the wonders of Screenium. I will point out for anything that we open up here, Screenium does eat up system resources. Didn't notice it so much when it was running on the Dual G5 because it had so many resources. This machine, as powerful as it is for a 20-year-old computer, it does show a little bit. But let's start out with about this Mac. See that 1.7 gigahertz PowerPC G4. And in the system profiler, if we go to graphics and displays, 64 megabytes of video RAM, and that is a bottleneck. I think the most powerful video card ever made that would go into a G4 is in fact 128, but they are very, very rare and thus difficult to find. We've got our PCI cards, so our USB card, which is causing the card reader that's installed in place of the zip drive to work. The mSATA, which it's listed as a SCSI, but it's delivering SATA 1 speeds to the boot drive, and the eSATA RAID controller. All of that is there. Okay. Dashboard works fine. You can add widgets. You can do all kinds of things if you want. Front row does work. I am not going to even try to open that because the battle between front row and Screenium is a major problem. But it is handy if you want to use the device as a home entertainment center. You certainly could. PPC App Store. This would usually open faster than this, and we wouldn't be beach balling. But there it is. It's a very handy little thing for setting up a new PowerPC Mac. It's got all kinds of different sorts of applications in there. Now, I find it does not replace going to Macintosh Garden or Macintosh Repository. And one important thing about those two is that there are still people uploading things to those sites to this day, and you can find all kinds of things. But this can get you going really very, very quickly. I wouldn't download 10.4 from it just because they keep updating it. In fact, I should probably check on that myself. Okay, we can quit out of that. Now, I'm going to skip over the internet because trying any of the internet applications with Screenium running just causes it to crawl. But we can go into the address book. Works just fine. Got the Apple entry, Leon Jones, my grandfather, my father's father, John Jones. I make an entry for him. God rest his soul. All right. So you can put all of your addresses in there if you really want to, if you're using this machine that frequently. Now, iCal. iCal is perfectly functional, as with any PPC Mac. The interoperability that we've come to know and love in the Apple ecosystem, none of that existed as far as Leopard. But you can put in entries all that you want. You can subscribe, as I did here. I subscribed to the Golden Knights schedule. Now, there is no schedule right now, so you won't see anything. But yeah, you can go onto the internet, find calendars, subscribe to them, and they'll pop right into iCal. So that's working just fine. iTunes. It's a little slow because of Screenium. Alright, now you can log into your Apple ID. You can go to the iTunes store. You can authorize the computer on iTunes. I'm not going to do that. I have not done that. Simply because I only have one of the 5 computers you're allowed available, and I like to leave that for emergency's sake. Alright, but, I put in some music. This, of course, is public domain, and I'm the performer. On banjo, bass, and the vocals. This is one of my favorites. Goes back to the 1850s.
The old Jim River, I float down, I run my backbone upon the ground. The drift log came with a rushing din.
Okay, I could keep listening to that, but I'm not going to because we will be here forever. iPhoto, you can import pictures to it. It works very, very well. The family portrait here. And there it is. I love this picture. It's the last one we'll ever be able to have of the 3 of us together. That's my late wife. Unfortunately, she has passed. Okay. iMovie. iMovie works, although why anyone would want to edit video on a PowerPC is beyond me. But if you really wanted to, you'd be able to. It wouldn't look like much. I did an experiment. I made a rather extensive video on my PowerMac G5 Quad. Did all of the clips and edited it, not in iMovie but in Final Cut Express, and it looked like garbage. Well, I took all those clips, moved them to my Mac Pro, edited the video again in DaVinci Resolve, and it looked fine. So the problem with editing is the editing software, but it is what it is. That's what we've got. Alright, iDVD would also work. One of these days I'm going to have to try putting some music together in GarageBand just to see how that functions. Alright, office productivity or basic home productivity. NeoOffice always opens slowly, but it's not this slow. That's because of Screenium. Now, there are other options for productivity. Keynote, Pages, Numbers. We've got iLife 09 installed on this, which is the last version that will run on a PowerPC Mac, so far as I know. Yeah, it will open up all right. Got Screenium running there. Over here on the right you see the various partitions, drives we've got. Leopard, Tiger, Mac OS 9, those are the 3 operating systems. There is a data storage HD, those are 2 hard drives that have just been in there. You can log into network shares, and that's my network file server there, and the eSATA portable drive down there. That will come up later. All right. All right. All right. So works fine. And you got spreadsheet presentation. There's a drawing program in there, database. You can do HTML documents. Not that it's a good idea, but you could make business cards. I mean, a very functional Office suite. There are versions of Microsoft Office you can install. I have not bothered on this machine. We'll discard that. And as I say, it's not. NeoOffice does tend to be slow because when you open it, you're opening the entire suite, all of the components. But it's not that slow. That's Screenium. All right, now we can. Have to. All right. I would hope that this isn't going to be slowed up by Screenium. What I've got to do, I've got a approximately 1.4 gigabyte video file here. I want to copy it over onto the eSATA drive. That's interesting that it's created some interference there. And that made 30 seconds. So that's a pretty big file there that's copied over. So yeah, eSATA, that a very, very, very handy thing in terms of moving data around. All right. Now, one other thing I did run a Geekbench score. Now, the last version of Geekbench, I believe, that will run on a PowerPC is 2.2.7. I don't have a license for that, so I just took a screenshot. The basic score 840. It occurs to me it may be of interest at some point to do a video or perhaps a small series of videos on benchmarks on various PowerPC Macs and how they compare with one another, ranging from the G3 blue and white all the way up to the G5 quad. But we can leave that. All right, now I do want to show off the capabilities of the internet. However, in order to do that, we're going to have to go back to a camera capture of the screen because trying to run the three applications involved, 10.4 Fox, WebKit, and 10.4 Bird. Trying to run those while Screenium is running is virtually impossible. So please stay tuned. All right, now for the internet. Then we'll might as well dive right in with WebKit, which I use really only for YouTube. That it does do better than 10.4 Fox does. And this is YouTube is a very challenge. It's worth looking at it even if you're not going to be viewing a video in terms of the ability of a browser, an old browser with an old operating system, to be able to load it, and it did that quite nicely. All right, we don't want to play any of these due to copyright issues. So we shall go to this channel. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to do this eMate 300 video. Quick as I can. I'm going to try to stop it.
Welcome back.
There. Okay, now we're going to give it a chance to load up some. One of the things that I noticed, forget about going full screen. We have to leave that for the G5 Quad. And even theater mode is very challenging. You can get it to work, but you have to be very patient. And patience is a big key. Uh, the reason it won't go full screen, I'm quite sure, is that video card with only 64 megabytes of video RAM, whereas I've got half a gig on the G5 Quad. All right. Well, we can say
Welcome back to Broke Electronics. I'm Lee, and it's wonderful to spend some time with you today on this very momentous
video and audio is
I should give that context,
lining up extremely well here.
Out on YouTube forever. You may see this 5 years.
Now,
even
my
10
problem
years
here
from the time I first released it.
was moving the mouse around. Start moving the mouse around, that's going to cause a problem with your video playback. But anyway, if you just sit there and watch it, it's quite viewable. All right, enough with WebKit. Now, 10.4 Fox. 10.4 Fox, I mean, people complain about it because it's bloated, but quite honestly, I think it kind of needs to be in order to get anywhere. What it can do, even if it is slow at times, is get you where you need to go on the internet. Now, I'm going to go to CNN. CNN is another challenging website. A lot of images, a lot of ads loading, there's all sorts of things going on in the background. So obviously it takes some time. But that's the thing, you can function on the internet quite nicely on this machine, as long as you're not in a big hurry. Now, okay, now we're getting closer. We have the images loaded up now. And I believe we're fully loaded now. A little choppy in the scrolling. But it works. It works. And we could go and read articles and all of that. But we're not going to. There are a few sites that you just can't get to. I'd like to point out Patreon. I cannot sign in to Patreon. All right, now 10.4 Bird. Again, tends to load slowly, but it's a very, very functional email client. Yeah, we've had email that's come in, which of course we're not going to look at now, but it is there. And you can send email. You can function within it. It's a port of Thunderbird, of course, for PowerPC, and very, very functional. So yeah, really, in terms of functioning on the internet, we're in good shape here. Now, one thing about this machine, and I'll tell you honestly, I have never actually done it that I remember, at least yet. It will, or should be capable, of booting into Mac OS 9. Now, I've got Tiger on there too. I'm not sure why I keep putting Tiger on there. So let's see if this thing will boot up into our friend OS 9. It's thinking about it. The key was OS 9. Any Mac that came with OS 10.2 Jaguar pre-installed cannot boot into OS 9. Can run Classic, but cannot boot into OS 9. All right. Here we go with some video. And we have cursor. All right. Loading extensions now. This is all looking good. for the desktop to load. Okay. So what we see here, we've got the boot drive, the OS 9 partition, the Leopard and Tiger partitions. For some reason, the data partition on that SSD is all the way down here. The one thing that won't show up, of course, is the eSATA. The eSATA will, there are no drivers for eSATA that are going to work on OS 9. Now what can you do with OS 9? ClassZilla, yeah, you can go on the internet in a limited sort of way. ClassZilla, I'll tell you what it's probably is very useful for. If you need to get an application or something, it can get you to Macintosh Garden or Macintosh Repository with no issue. That's all just fine. There's an email client built into it that works quite nicely. All right. We've got Word. And in addition to having Word, okay. Okay. Yep, this is a word processing document, all right. Opens up very nicely. Quit. Now, in addition to Word, I didn't put aliases for it because you can go kind of crazy with aliases. But we do have Excel and PowerPoint in there, as well as other components of Word 2000 of Office 2001 that are kind of useless in today's world. Print Shop, very handy for making greeting cards, signs, pamphlets, all of this stuff. Desktop publishing, online greetings, and I use it quite a bit. It's a very, very useful thing. Okay, we'll open a blank page, because if I don't open the blank page, I can't close the program. Okay, there we go. So that's all very good. Toast Titanium, Stuffed Expander. Okay, I mean, there's just a lot of things here. You've got that data drive where you can move things around. It, of course, will mount back up when you boot back into OS 10. All right. But the crown jewel of what you want OS 9 for, the games. 8-Ball Deluxe. Now, I can't really open that up because without shifting the resolution and the colors, it has to be down to 256. Same idea with Myst. You've got to kill the resolution to make that load. Oregon Trail will load up. It's a little tiny window, again, unless you lower the resolution. After Dark games. These are fun. Moen Maniac. Okay. I'll end that. That's fun. They're all fun. You can waste tons of time with this. After Dark Solitaire. Okay. All right, now, I'm sure you don't really want to sit here watching me play solitaire, fun though it is, but Yeah, I mean, there are tons of games. I'm just scratching the surface here, and some much more challenging kinds of games that show up too. And that's probably the big reason for still wanting to boot into OS 9. That aside from the fact that it's just cool, I've always loved OS 9. Well, anyway, and in fact, I love this machine. And again, my compliments to the gentleman who sold me this machine on the incredible work he did, making it so fully functional here in the 21st century, second decade of the 21st century. So yeah, my compliments there. In any event, I think we can wrap up the video. Be good to other people. Other people need it and deserve it. Be good to yourselves. It all has to start from there. We will make this a better world. Until it is a better world, please take very, very good and careful care in these difficult times. We'll be back with you with a whole bunch of other things. I've got some things that, at least to me, are very exciting coming up. So, until they do come up, this has been Broken Electronics.